Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we'll be looking at the 2024 Speed Chess Championship, and it is the semi-finals. So this is played live in Paris, and the four players that will be competing in the semi-finals are Hikaru Nakamura, Alireza Firouzja, Magnus Carlsen, and Hans Niemann. So Hikaru will be playing against Alireza, and Magnus will be playing against Hans. So Hikaru and Alireza were the first to play. They play first. So this is the first game in the semifinals between these two players. So the time control is 5 minutes plus 1 second each move increment. And let's see how this game went. So Hikaru is white, and he started with d4. Okay, yeah, d4. Now, Alireza played knight f6, c4, g6, and f3. So this is the King's Indian defense, the Semish variation. Yeah. Short castle, and now bishop g5. Of course, the other two main lines here are bishop e3 and knight g2. Bishop g5 is also one of the main lines. c5. d5, closing up in the center. You could also go, for example, like knight g2. It doesn't really matter. So d5 here, a6, a4, e6. So this is all actually very normal. Black is trying to create counterplay in the center as well as on the queen side. Well, white has a huge space in the center and on the queen side, and simply just needs to develop. Now, e takes d5, c takes d5. Of course, you don't want to take with the e pawn because now it opens up this diagonal, and black can go rook e8 check, checking the king, and we can see that since white is too slow on development, then now let's say white needs to block, for example, with knight g2, but now this will cause this f1 bishop to be hard to develop. And actually here the best move is to go king to f2, but then this position is slightly worse for white. So let's go back here. We take with the c pawn, and now knight b d7, knight h3. So instead of developing with knight g2, Hikaru chose to play knight h3. Probably he thought that, okay, I don't want to block my bishop, or I also can go knight f2, knight g4 this way. So knight g2 is of course also possible, but in the game, white chose to play knight h3. Queen a5 was played, and now rook a3. Now rook a3 is actually a very interesting move because, logically, so no, I mean normally white will just here develop the bishop or go knight f2 and quickly castle the king. But here, what does this rook a3 move what does this move mean? What is white's idea with this move? So actually white's idea is to go rook b3 and also supporting this knight on c3, because black can always move this knight away and opening up this diagonal. This bishop will be putting pressure on the c3 knight as well as the queen. So rook a3 is always a very useful move, as well as preventing black from going b5, because the reason that black plays queen a5 here is because he wants to go b5 using this pin, because white cannot take or else he'll lose the rook. The rook has no one to protect, no one's protecting the rook. So rook a3 here is the best move because now the pawn will be protecting this rook. So knight a5 was played in the game, and now knight f2, queen b4, queen c2. Queen b4 is actually there are many ideas. First of all, knight c4, second of all, queen d4 maybe, and just simply black is just trying to find a way to push b5. Here queen c2 was played, and now bishop d7, putting pressure on the a4 pawn, bishop d2. So now white drops this bishop back to d2, looking at this queen, and always prepares for knight b5 ideas, like discovered attacks. So black has to be careful here actually. Knight c4 was played, attacking the rook and the bishop. Now if you go, for example, well, you cannot go knight b5 anymore because now there is knight takes d2, and it doesn't do anything basically. If you take with the queen, well, black will just, like take or take the knight, doesn't matter. Let's say we take the queen first and then take the knight, and white is simply down a piece here. So knight b5 is of course not impossible here. Oops. Alright, so let's see what happened in the game. Rook b3 was played, attacking the queen. Now, actually here, Alireza played this knight to d2 move, sacrificing the queen in the first game of the semi-finals. And actually, I mean, black can just go bishop a4 here. Why not? Because if let's say if white takes on b4, now there's bishop c2. You take my queen, I'll take your queen, and it's gonna be a pretty much equalized game. Now let's say white will take on c4 with the rook. Now bishop b3. The rook is trapped on c4, and probably white will go, for example, like something like knight to d1, and once you take. White has two minor pieces for a rook, but black is like black has a lot of space on the queen side after b5. So this position will be a pretty much like it's actually a very complicated game. So yeah, but actually in the game, Alireza, I think he probably thought about bishop a4, but thought that it was too complicated. There are too many possibilities, and probably he also thought about like other possibilities. But here, actually, bishop a4 and knight d2 are the only moves here. If you move back to queen a5, now you simply lose the knight, of course. So you have to sacrifice your queen, basically. Either with bishop a4, like to trade the queens, or with knight to d2, as played in the game, to sacrifice your queen. Now rook b4 was played, c takes b4, queen d2, and b takes c3. Now actually here in the game, I mean, this knight d2 move here, black, like if you want to play a move like this, you need to have a lot of courage. And you have to decide fast, especially in blitz games. And here, this is a blitz game, 5 minutes plus 1 second each move. And Alireza just played this move instantly. You can see that. Look at his time control. I think this knight c4 move, you see he has here 3 minutes and 29 seconds, and he thought for like 27 seconds this knight c4 move. And now rook b3, he played this knight d2 move instantly, which means that this knight, when calculating knight c4, he already thought about the knight d2 line. So this like all of these moves can show like how strong Alireza's calculation is. And after knight takes d2, rook takes b4, c takes b4, queen takes d2, b takes c3, b takes c3, and bishop a4. Black is kind of down like some material, but he does have a lot of compensation. First of all, he has the bishop pair. Second of all, he is much faster in development, and he also has 2 pass pawns on the queen side. So there are some compensations. Now c4. This is a mistake. Why? Because first of all, it blocks this diagonal of the bishop. Why can't I draw a diagonal? Okay. Blocks this diagonal for the bishop, and also creates some very weak squares on c5 and e5. I mean, there are of course weak squares already, but if you go there one day, first of all, your dark squares are very weak. One day this pawn can also become a weakness. I think Hikaru's idea is to try to push c5, but here in the game, knight d7 was played and no c5 ideas or e5 ideas for white. And black will have a very strong knight, either on c5 or on e5. There are both very strong squares for this knight. Queen b4 is played in the game, attacking the bishop, and now knight c5. Now actually this was a mistake because white can actually go knight d3 right now as played in the game. Black should have played b5 to protect the bishop this way. And now after queen takes d6, bishop c3 check for example, white has to give up short castle and go king e2. Now you can see that this bishop and the rook are like, it's very hard for them to develop. The king is basically blocking everything. So yeah, let's go back here. Knight c5 was playing the game, and now knight d3. distracting this knight. If knight takes d3 was played, of course it is possible, but now bishop d3. Black is just simply helping white to develop, so white will be fine. e5 was played. This is a mistake, but trying to complicate the position is not a wrong idea, especially in blitz games. So a5 is understandable. Queen a3 was played, now bishop d7, retreating back, because white is threatened to take on c5 on the next move to win some material. Bishop d7 was played, now knight takes c5, d takes c5, and then bishop e2. Why not take this pawn? Well, taking this pawn is not a good idea, because first of all, look at your pieces and your king. None of them have developed yet. And here the development, like the speed of your development, is the most crucial thing, because black has the bishop pair. He is well developed, and he is now starting to push the pawns on the queen side. So if white doesn't develop all of his pieces fast enough, then white might be in some trouble. Bishop e2 was played. Now rook fb8. Black's idea is try to create counterplay on the queen side by pushing b5. So let's see how Hikaru reacted. He played king f2. Of course, you don't want to go short castle here, because black, first of all, doesn't have a queen. Second of all, this position is pretty much simplified. And if you go short castle, there's even bishop d4 check ideas, and you have to go, move your king to h1. And in the future, white might have some back rank problems. So king f2 was played instead. Now bishop d4 check, but now you can go to king g7, king g3, sorry. And now after b5, you take, bishop takes, rook takes. Now queen a4, attacking the rook. The rook goes to b4, attacking the queen. Now queen to c6. Rook a b8. Rook e1. So now this is just a matter of speed. Is black faster on the queen side, or is white faster on, in the center? Rook e1 was played. Now rook 4 b6 was played, which is a mistake. The most crucial thing here is just to push your pawns. Whoever is faster will win or have an advantage here. Black should have just pushed his pawns right away, because time is very crucial here. You have to promote earlier than your opponent did in order to win. But here, Alireza played rook 4 b6, attacking the queen, which was a mistake, because now, queen a4 was played, bishop c3, rook e2, rook b4 back again, queen c6, and now bishop e5. Look at the position. Alireza seems to have no idea at all. He is just trying to check white's king and attack white's queen. So black basically doesn't have an idea. But it's understandable, or it's reasonable, because you can take a look at the time here. He only has 3 seconds left. So playing these moves without any ideas is reasonable. King h3 is played. c4 is finally starting to push the pawns, but is simply too late. Now g3 was played, threatening to push f4, c3, f4, rook b2. Now you cannot take, of course. If you take, black will just take on e2, and after queen to c3, rook takes e4. This will be a very complex endgame, and it's not that easy to win. Rook e1 was played, bishop d4, d6. White now simply just needs to push the pawns to victory. c2, d7, rook b1, queen takes c2. Now this is a very excellent move. First of all, your rook cannot go anywhere. You cannot take, because now black will queen. You cannot move the rook to the second rank, because black will queen. So the only way to win here is by taking the pawn on c2. Once black takes on e1, now you go queen c8 check. An even better option would be to go queen c7. Actually, this even wins on the spot, because once the rook moves away, let's say rook a8, now we go check, and after takes, white can even win this bishop. But in the game, Hikaru also found the winning idea with queen c8, which is also winning after takes, king g7. The only difference is that now white cannot win this bishop immediately, but this game is still winning for white, of course. e5, rook e8, rook e2, queen c4, rook d2, queen c7, bishop g1. It looks like black still has some tricks like h5 ideas, threatening rook h2 mate, but of course Hikaru saw that and played e6 immediately, using this pin and threatening to checkmate black. Rook h2, king g4, and after h5, Hikaru played king to g5, and after this move, Alireza resigned the game, which meant that Hikaru had won the first game of the semi-finals of the 2024 Speed Chess Championship. So, yeah, this was a very interesting game. So, Alireza actually sacrificed his queen here with knight d2, if you still remember, which is a very excellent idea. Like, of course, it needs a lot of pure calculation, and he only just thought about it for like about 20 seconds. So we can see that how strong and how fast his calculation is. But on the other hand, you can also see that Hikaru reacted, played all great moves, reacted very well to all of black's tricks and everything, and in the end he won the game. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this game, and hope you liked this video. You can leave comments down below to tell me if you liked the video or not, and please subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye.